just like Steven Seagal received my book, Healing Codes for the Biological Apocalypse, and then spun the screenplay into a story where it made me the villain, associated with a guy named Larry Wayne Harris, who was another CIA...
I do happen to know, Lynn, I do happen to know a fella named, you just mentioned his name, an actor?
Yes, that's right. He and a number of people in Hollywood...
What actor are you talking about?
Steven Seagal, U.S. Navy SEAL, engaged in propaganda through the mainstream media in Hollywood.
Well, I do know Steven Seagal.
Yeah, well, that's nice that you know him. The problem is that...
But I've never had a conversation with Steven Seagal regarding you.
Well, you know, again, the bottom line is, why do you engage in less than highly professional quality filmmaking and truth-telling, which discredits everyone in the truth?
Listen, Len, you're saying you're making a statement as if it's a statement of fact that I make films that are of lesser quality.
Okay, you were accused.
Certainly, if somebody was going to make a film in the industry, they would make it of the best quality that they possibly could. And I have been in charge of production. I have been in charge of production at the studio called, at one time, the David Selznick studio, at one time called RKO Pathé, at one time called the Laird International Studio. And certainly I would have had to have some sort of quality to be executive vice president in charge.
Wait a minute, everybody, listen. I don't know what the actual accusations here are. I've known Mr. Hilder's work for many years. I've known Mr. Hilder for a long time, and I don't see COINTELPRO here. I'm pretty good researcher myself. He's getting out the information. You're talking about the same things. You're talking about exposing vaccines, and meanwhile, that's what Dr. Spencer is going to be talking about.
Exactly. It's called controlled opposition. Who am I speaking with?
This is Howard Nima. We are change. And you're on NFormDRadio.
What is your name?
I'm sorry?
I'm sorry, what was your name?
Howard Nima.
Howard. Okay, Howard Nima. I don't know if you're familiar with Dr. Leonard Horowitz or even myself, Sherry Kane, but we're two of the most endangered journalists in the world. We pulled the rug out from under the conspiracy movement. They wanted us out of the conspiracy movement after we exposed the fact that Mr. Hilder and his associate, Ted Gunderson, who was the head of the FBI in Los Angeles, claiming to protect children from child sex trafficking and satanic crimes. In reality, Gunderson was a double agent. He was married to Anton LaVey, who was the founder of the Church of Satan's ex-wife. He was married to Diana Risley. We have a private letter that was given by one of his dearest friends, who, when she found out he was involved in these criminal acts against children, not protecting them, but just the complete opposite. Mr. Hilder...
let me say something on behalf of my friend, because he's not here.
I'm not done speaking yet, Mr. Hilder. Let me just finish. I'm not done speaking.
Right now, I will tell you the truth about Ted Gunderson. He was a close friend. He was a patriot. Did more for the United States than any other individual in the FBI that I have ever known. We've been close friends, Ted Gunderson and I. And Sherry Kane and Dr. Horowitz have been
stated at the conspiracy conference.
Bad rapping both Ted Gunderson and
Mr. Hilder,
who has one of the most famous radio shows in the world right now.
Isn't it true that you stated at the conspiracy conference that you and Ted Gunderson virtually exclusively, single-handedly, created the conspiracy movement?
He said it on that videotape, too.
No,
yes,
I did not.
You did say it on video as well.
I created this... Jordan Maxwell gives me credit for starting or helping start the conspiracy movement.
Who you badmouth in that video also. You think that Jordan Maxwell is a double agent. You have stated virtually, along with his friend, who you berated, named Ivy West. Isn't that correct?
I don't know what you've been smoking, but
I haven't spoken anything, Mr. Hilder. I don't know. I don't, and that is an abusive comment that has no place in a debate.
Mr. Hilder, when you were accused...
You're not going to determine for me what has place in a debate.
Mr. Hilder,
when you learn how to properly debate and tell the truth,
Mr. Hilder, what you went and did was you created a video on your chemtrail site that had nothing to do with chemtrails about me, Sherry Kane. You yourself have no right. You're 70, 80 years old. Wearing a toupee, and you're telling everyone on a scale from 1 to 10, Sherry Kane is a 6.5. This was your way of defense. She's sort of like a Monica Lewinsky. This is how you actually went in defending yourself and your buddies being accused of being pedophile protectors. You went and made a video, a close-up picture of yourself video, claiming that I am all of these things to do with my feminine side. You did not ever make a defense against the fact that you've been accused along with your buddies. And your buddies came after Dr. Horowitz in 2007 and started to libel him as part of a campaign with a Dr. Truott. And Greg Zemansky and Craig Oxley, Eric John Phelps. You guys are
first of all, you were telling me that I have an association with Dr. Truott. And I don't
by mail, emails, absolutely. We have all the evidence, and we've been publishing it.
And you know that very well, Mr. Hilder, that you have all been exposed. Your buddy Gunderson worked under J. Edgar Hoover to start the COINTELPRO movement, to actually stop activists and what they call dissidents from actually going out and speaking the truth or creating peace. That's not what you're about. You come out and claim that you're one of us, but that's all part of your control. That's how you infiltrated the activist movement.
Sherry, I'm speaking to Sherry Kane. I do not claim that I am part of you or have any association with you whatsoever.
You claim to be a patriot. You claim to be an activist.
I considered Dr. Horowitz to be a friend.
Until you guys screwed him over. When you stabbed him in the back and you started to libel him with all of your buddies, including Gunderson, directing a whole group of guys to put him on a fake Knights of Malta list under Henry Kissinger and Richard Nixon. Why would you do something like that? Why would you and your buddies create a fraudulent list? And then what you did was you took the list.
Sherry Kane is now making statements as a matter of fact when it's.
These are facts. I attest to them. They are material facts that evidence, prima facie evidence of this conspiracy involving you, Mr. Gunderson, Mr. Truott. Truott, it's not even his real name. It's Al Maciat. He's not a PhD. He's not an MD. He's a fake doctor. He's a fraud. The entire movement has been infiltrated. You know, the reality is we all know the movement is infiltrated. You've got the question. Who would be the infiltrators? Those who are literally discrediting everything and everyone and having us look into, for example, this situation of the Zionists. Well, gee whiz, look at all the people who are publishing literally anti-Semitic material in the name of patriotism or Christianity or fundamentally. The reality is it's same old, divide the sheep, conquer the flock. And the reality is, Mr. Hilder, you are really engaged in that.
The reality is, Dr. Horowitz, you had, and I talked to, this lady who was in Hawaii and who works with you.
Are you talking Miss Ivy West?
No, I think
we're talking about Ivy West. She works for a Zionist organization.
I don't know that. I've never seen one document, and it wouldn't surprise me, Mr. Hilder.
Zionist organization.
Mr. Hilder, it would not surprise me. First of all,
is it a Mossad organization? Are you in the Mossad? Are you in the Mossad? Because this certainly looks like a Mossad operation, but I'm not talking about really Zionists. I'm talking about the Zion-Nazis.
Exactly.
My concern is the Zion-Nazis, not the Zionists, because I would consider myself a Zionist with a small z, but I would consider possibly those who are in association with you as Zion-Nazis. And you say, well, how does that make any sense? How does it make sense that the Zion-Nazis could be conducting operations which in turn bring about wars? The Zion-Nazis are involved in the creation of wars. They're attempting now to create a war with Iran.
All right.
And I see it that way. Others who think similar to I see it that way. You have been blasting Alex Jones.
Well, that's the thing, Mr. Hilder. Listen, you know, it's the message. You know, what really honestly bothers me, and listen, all of us are trying to fight for the same goddamn thing. And if somebody does, if we know we're under mind control, we know we're under all of this propaganda, we have to, as truth seekers, and we have to have our own visions, and we have to have our own opinions. We know that nobody else is telling the truth. So then what are you saying? It's COINTELPRO because Alex Jones is COINTELPRO. George Norrie is COINTELPRO because he reaches more people. I mean, of course, you know, Rush Limbaugh is clearly COINTELPRO.
I really don't, for my benefit.
It's a joke, Mr. Hilder. What I'm trying to say is we're losing sight of the...
I would like to know what COINTELPRO means to you guys.
Well, to me, to them, let them go ahead.
This is Dr. Horowitz and Sherry Kane.
Go ahead, guys.
COINTELPRO is counterintelligence propaganda program that was literally part of the MK Ultra program for mind control, population control, for social conditioning through mainstream media propaganda and infiltration through the this whole COINTELPRO operation of the activist organizations, those targeted as dissident activists that didn't go along with a virtually globalist agenda. Those people then were targeted by J. Edgar Hoover and his California sidekick, who is Ted Gunderson, your good friend that you claimed on several occasions to have literally started the entire conspiracy movement and industry virtually what it is today.
Well, first of all, that is one big lie, because I never claimed to start the movement.
Yes, you did.
In the video you made of me on the chemtrail site, you did.
I'm talking right now, Sherry. I never claimed to start the movement. I would be happy to have started the movement. I would be proud to start the movement, which exposes the Illuminati, which exposes you, which exposes the Zion-Nazis. Do I think that you guys are speaking on their behalf? Pretty much so. But when I hear something from Len, that I told Len and that I was a member of the Central Intelligence Agency, which is simply the enforcement arm of the Council on Foreign Relations, when in fact I'm the first individual in the United States to link the Illuminati with the Council on Foreign Relations in 1967 initially, and it became 1967, and I released the Illuminati CFR records. That predates anything you've ever done in this movement. Anything you've ever done in the movement.
We'll give you a gold star on your forehead, Anthony.
Look, I don't think it's about a gold star, guys.
But you know, why would you lie and say that I told you?
There's never been one lie that's come across from our telephone right now. The reality is you did make that claim, not only in front of the audience in the Conspiracy Expo, but you also made it on video. It is available on video. I think it is in that attack that you rendered against Sherry Kane.
Why don't you do this? If I ever said that I was in the CIA, why don't you bring out that tape?
Now you're diverting and you're manipulating.
No, I'm not diverting. I want some honesty from you.
You just shifted. We can talk about the bullet hole in your chest that you allegedly told me and everybody and other friends of ours, including Robert Kassar. We just had recently a conversation. I understand that you're doing some gold deals with Robert Kassar, which is very nice, Anthony. But the reality is, we both laughed at the fact that you told us and others that you were with the CIA, that you did take a hit, and that it is marked on your chest. Now, that's not a lie. That's testimony by people who you considered your friends at one point.
And it would make sense that you were in the CIA when your best friend Gunderson was working with the head of the FBI in Los Angeles.